Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Bhagavad Gita. Today we will be continuing our study of Arjuna's prayers to the Vishwarupa of Krishna or the universal form of Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So today we will be studying Arjuna's prayers to Krishna in the universal form, the Vishwarupa. So we will be studying from 11:16 onwards. Many of these verses don't have purports, so we will read them as many as we can today. अनेकबाहूदरवक्त्रनेत्रं पश्यामि त्वां सर्वतोऽनन्तरूपम् नान्तं न मध्यं न पुनस्तवादिं पश्यामि विश्वेश्वर विश्वरूपा. O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many, many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes expanded everywhere without limit. I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Purport: Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is unlimited. Thus, through Him, everything could be seen. So, this is the thing. One may ask how it is possible for one to see the universal form. Well, by Krishna's mercy. So, dadami, what is it? Divyam dadami te chakshuh. Krishna said to Arjuna earlier, I think 11:8. Krishna said, Natumam shakyase drashtum anenaiva swachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshuh pashyame yogamaishwaram. But you cannot see me with your present eyes, therefore I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. So unless the Lord allows us to see, we cannot see. And the Lord can allow us to see anything. It depends on how much He wants us to see. So he allowed Arjuna to see everything. Everything means still it's not everything, because the Lord is unlimited. What Arjuna saw is definitely much greater than what we can see, but that's not the entirety of it. For example, um, the past, present, and future of every single living being living in this material world or in this universe is unknown to Arjuna. He is seeing, um, again, another, maybe a larger chunk of a thicker layer of, there are many layers, many, how to say, realms of existence, and Arjuna is seeing a thicker portion of the entire stack. We are seeing one layer of it, animals see one layer of it. Arjuna is seeing maybe a little bit thicker version of the layers of the entire stack of reality, but we are not exposed to everything that Krishna knows. But if he wants, he can allow us to perceive everything. But he allowed Arjuna to perceive the Vishwarupa to an extent that is far, far greater than possibly even the demigods, because he said nobody has seen this before. Because if we see in the Bhagavatam, it is said that even Brahma cannot explain the situation of the universe, even this material world, which he created on the order of Krishna. So, no one actually can really know the situation even of this material world. So, how is it that Arjuna could see everything? Well, Krishna gave him that power. And here, if you go back to that, you see, through him, everything could be seen. And this is how the demigods also see everything that we do. The devatas are witness of everything that we do. That is stated in the Bhagavatam, right? सूर्योऽग्निः खं मरुद्देवः सोमः सन्ध्याहनि दिशः कं कुः स्वयं धर्म इति हेते दैह्यस्य साक्षिणः. The sun, fire, sky, air, demigods, moon, evening, day, night, directions, water, land, and Supersoul himself all witness the activities of the living entity. So, what is the meaning of sky and air witnessing? Air can't witness, fire can't witness. So, it's how they are seen. It's the demigods who are the superintendent deities of these elements. They are seeing through the elements, and through the elements means, again, Krishna has to allow them to see, because he is situated in every single atom. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham, Brahma Samhita says. Even every atom he is there. So he can see everything. So if the Lord invests or empowers a certain living entity with the power of perceiving something, then he can see. So the demigods have such power in a partial way. Arjuna had in a much more visceral way, I mean much higher version of that, because he could see everything at once, which even the demigods do not have access to, and that is also explained, I think. If we go to earlier verse, 11:6. पश्यादित्यान् वसून् रुद्रान् अश्विनौ मरुतस्तथा बहून्यदृष्टपूर्वाणि पश्याचर्याणि भारत. O best of the Bharatas, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini Kumaras, and all the other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard of before. So, an unprecedented vision was given, was granted to Arjuna. There are, like even the Kauravas, When Krishna went there as a messenger of the Pandavas, they tried to, capture him, but he also showed them a universal form. But it was not exactly the same as what Arjuna saw. Another instance was Bali Maharaj, Vamanadev. Um, at that time, to Bali Maharaj also he showed the universal form. Here it is mentioned 7:9:36. एवं सहस्रवदनाङ्घ्रिशिरः करोरुनासाद्यकर्णनयनाभरणान्युधाढ्यम् मायामयं सदुपलक्षितसन्निवेशम् दृष्ट्वा महापुरुषमापमुदं विरिञ्च. Lord Brahma could then see you possessing thousands and thousands of faces, feet, heads, hands, thighs, noses, ears, and eyes. You were very nicely dressed, being decorated and bedecked with various varieties of ornaments and weapons. Seeing you in the form of Lord Vishnu, your symptoms and form being transcendental, your legs extending from the lower planets, Lord Brahma achieved transcendental bliss. In fact, the whole Purusha Sukta is about this. And second canto, 6th chapter, I think in one of the previous verses we went through that. The second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th chapter, is about Purusha Sukta confirmed, the chapter's name. So Purusha Sukta is actually the universal form of the Lord, and it's a blueprint for the entire creation. And Brahma requires that vision of the universal form in order to revive his memory of how the creation is to be made every single day of his life. So he has to recreate all the lower planetary systems when he wakes up after his night. And during his night, there's usually an annihilation. And when he wakes up in the day, and then he recreates all the lower planetary systems. So, going back, I see, this 13th chapter, 14th verse of Bhagavad Gita. Sarvatah panipadam tat sarvatokshishiromukam sarvatah shrutimaloke sarvamavritya tishtati. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything. So he's explaining, and then he showed himself how this is actually happening in the universal form that Arjuna saw. And the other thing is, I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning. And that is what it's explained in the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam as well. Srimad Bhagavatam 2:9-33. Ahamevāsamevāgre nānyadyat sadasatparam paschādaham yadetacca yo vashishyeta sosmyaham. Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation when there was nothing but myself. Nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead, and after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. So he is the beginning, middle, and end of everything. Therefore, from our viewpoint, we cannot see the beginning, end, and middle of everything, because he is the beginning, middle, and end. For example, in the womb of the mother, the child is there, developing his body. At that time, there is no beginning, there is no end, there is no middle of the mother. Everything is just the mother. So wherever he sees, it's the mother. Of course, he cannot see anything, it's very dark there. But he actually is made to see the past 100 births and all of that. But apart from that, his surroundings are all nothing but his mother. So, beginning, middle, and end is all mother. So, from inside, he cannot have a full view. So, I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning. So, because Arjuna's viewpoint, vantage point was different from Krishna's. So, from here we can understand Krishna is saying, or Vishnu is saying to Brahma that I am the beginning, middle, and end of everything. Arjuna is saying, I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning. And which is actually true because he is the beginning and he has no Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. So he has no other origin and he is the origin of everything else. So Aham Sarvasya Prabhava Mattah Sarvam Pravartate. So Krishna is the source of everything. So that is explained here. We'll go to the next verse. किरीटिनं गदिनं चक्रिणं च तेजोराशिं सर्वतो दीप्तिमन्तं पश्यामि त्वां दुर्निरीक्ष्यं समन्ताद् दीप्तानलार्कद्युतिमप्रमेयम्. Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence spreading on all sides like blazing fire or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs. So, difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, and yet he sees the glowing form everywhere, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs. It's a very, he's trying to describe in words, but it's difficult for us to even imagine. But there is a prayer in the Ishopanishad. In the Ishopanishad 15, mantra 15, it is said, Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukham tattvam poshannapavrunu satyadharmaya drishtaye. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. So that Brahmajyoti, the effulgence of the Lord, is so vast and so bright that it's dazzling. But the devotee's prayer is that kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. Now we know a curtain, Maya Javanika. So there is a curtain of Maya, illusion, that covers our vision of the Supreme Lord, of those who are materialistic, those who are interested in sense gratification. For them, the Lord is forever covered. But those who want to see the Lord, and they, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, when they relinquish this world of darkness and go to the light, even that light is blinding. That light itself acts like a curtain. The darkness of Maya is like a curtain, but the light is also a curtain. Therefore, the karmis and jnanis both do not see the complete reality. The karmis are in darkness, the jnanis are in such light that they cannot see the source of the light. So that's another kind of covering. It's dazzling effulgence, and only a bhakta is allowed to see past that effulgence. And therefore, this prayer that you see in the Ishopanishad is actually only by a devotee. You see, kindly exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. Dharmaya, the devotee. Satya Dharmaya, Trishtaye. So, apavranu. So, this is only a devotee can have that entrance into that understanding of the form of the Supreme Personality. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdite. That Bhagavan feature, which has a form, Sachidananda Vigraha. It is not an ordinary Vigraha, material Vigraha, but Sachidananda Vigraha. It's opposite of material. Material is Asat, Achit, and Nirananda. That means it's not eternal, it's temporary. Every material form is temporary. It's Achit, it's full of ignorance. It's not Chit, full of knowledge. And Nirananda. It is a source of trouble. Ananda means happiness, Nirananda means unhappiness, misery. This material world is temporary, full of ignorance, and a source of miseries. Whereas Sachidananda Vigraha means Rupa, form. Sachidananda Vigraha means Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, Ananda means full of bliss. So, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So, that is unknown in this material world. Even we, the Atma, the Jiva, is actually Sachidananda. But we are a minute Sachidananda Vigraha. Kṛṣṇa is infinite Sachidananda Vigraha. So, either way, the prayer of the devotee is that kindly remove that covering. So, that means the request is kindly rid me of karma and jnana, the traces of karma and jnana. This is the actual meaning of this prayer, that remove the desire for karma and jnana so that I can actually see your form. Because Jnana Mishra, actually Jnani can only see until the light. He can know that this is darkness, this is not what we should covet. We should covet the light. He goes to the light, but the light is so blinding that itself covers the real form. So if one has to go beyond jnana, and the Supreme Lord has to allow himself to be seen. With our power, we cannot see him. He has to allow himself to be seen, and then we can see him. And that is explained in this, I think, what Upanishad is this? Katha Upanishad? No, Shveta. Let's see. Nayamatma. Katha Upanishad 1:2-23. नायमात्मा प्रवचनेन लभ्यो न मेधया न बहुना श्रुतेन यमेवैष वृणुते तेन लभ्यस्तस्यैष आत्मा विवृणुते तनुं स्वाम्. The translation, Mundaka Upanishad also it is there. So you see, one cannot understand the Supreme Lord Atma Pravachanena. So he cannot understand the Supreme Lord simply by studying the Vedas and offering prayers. Atma Pravachanena, Labhya na Medhya, by our intelligence, na Bahuna Shrutena, by vast Vedic study. Yam evaisha vrinute tena labhyas. Tasyesha Atma vivrinute tanum swam. So he who the Lord chooses that, okay, this person should see, then that person can see. But whom does the Lord choose? Is there any criterion or is it random? There is a criterion. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. So by bhakti, those who attract the attention of the Lord is inclined to show or reveal himself to that person. So who can attract the mind of the Lord? The devotee. The devotee. And this is why he says, the devotee always sees me and I always see the devotee. We are never separated. सर्वभूतस्थमात्मानं सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि ईक्षते योगयुक्तात्मा सर्वत्र समदर्शनः. Darshana. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So, the Supreme Lord, in fact, he also says in the 929, समोहम सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेष्योऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. And of course, this other verse, 9468 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayam tvaham madanyattena janante naham tebhyo managapi. The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart, and I am always in the heart of the pure devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me, and I do not know anyone else but them. So the Lord is always inclined to the devotees, and when He chooses, you see, only by the grace of the Supreme Lord can one understand Him. The process of understanding the Lord, therefore, is bhakti. Without bhakti, simply by following the Vedic injunctions to understand the absolute truth will not be helpful at all. And 1 second. Okay. Yeah. So this verse, Prabhupada also quoted many times. अथापि ते देवपदाम्बुजद्वय प्रसादलेशानुगृहीत एव हि जानाति तत्त्वं भगवन्महिम्नो न चान्ये कोऽपि चिरं विचिन्वन्. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. So he must be favored by the Supreme Lord. So on our own exercise, we cannot. On our own strength, we cannot. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. Those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. So this is the position of non-devotees. And therefore, Krishna says, न साधयति मां योगो न सांख्यं धर्म उद्धव न स्वाध्यायस्तपस्त्यागो यथा bhaktirmamorjita. My dear Uddhava, the unalloyed devotional service rendered to me by my devotees brings me under their control. I cannot be thus controlled by those engaged in mystic yoga, Sankhya philosophy, pious work, Vedic study, austerity, or renunciation. So only by bhakti, that's why next verse says, bhaktyaham ekaya grahya. Ekaya. Bhaktyaham ekaya grahya shraddhayatma priyah satam bhakti punati mannishtha swapakan api sambhavat. Only by practicing unalloyed devotional service with full faith in me can one obtain me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am naturally dear to my devotees who take me as the only goal of their loving service. By engaging in such pure devotional service, even the dog eaters can purify themselves from the contamination of their low birth. So, this is confirmed in Bhaktyaham. Here he said Bhaktyaham ekaya grahya. Here he says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyascha tattvataha tato mam tattvato jnatva vishate tadantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. So that's the only way to understand the Lord. So this bright light of the Lord is a kind of covering that we need to go past by devotional service. So 18th verse. Tvamaksharam paramam veditavyam tvamasya vishvasya param nidhanam tvamavyayah shashvata dharma gopta sanatanastvam purusho mato me. Shashvata dharma gopta, maintainer of the eternal religion. Sanātana-dharma purusho mato me. Shashvata dharma gopta, Very nice. Maintainer of the eternal religion, Sanātana-dharma. Kṛṣṇa or Sanātana-dharma, same thing. You are the supreme primal objective. You are the ultimate resting place of all this universe. You are inexhaustible and you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of the eternal religion, the personality of Godhead. This is my opinion. The opinion of the pure devotee is not just another opinion. It's fact. Because what he sees, it's a pure devotee is Tattvavit Tattvadarshi. Tattvadarshi is a person who sees God, who is seeing 24 hours. What is that? Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Sadaiva. Always the pure devotee sees the Supreme Lord. And whatever he's saying, he's just describing. And his seeing is not like our seeing. Our seeing is defective seeing with our eyes, materialized. They have premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. It is very different from our vilochana. Our vilochana, our eyes are, cataracted. I don't know if there's a word like that, but covered with cataract. We cannot see things as they are. But pure devotee, he fully sees everything. So here, Kṛṣṇa Gopta, the Lord is referred to as Kṛṣṇa Gopta, the protector or the maintainer of eternal religious principles. And there are two very important verses of the 10th canto, right at the end, 1090:47 and 1090:48. So 1090:47 is the 5 glories of Kṛṣṇa, right? And then the 1090:48 is the 5 what is that? I forgot. 5 aspects of Kṛṣṇa. 5 features of Kṛṣṇa, something like this. So anyway, let's go to 1090:47. These are two important verses from the 10th canto. It summarizes the entire Krishna's incarnation, Krishna's appearance on this earth. These 2 verses. Okay, so here it is said, Tirtham chakre nriponam yadajani yadushu swah sarit pada shaucham vidvit snigdha swarupam yayurajita parast shriryadarthenya yatnah yannama mangalagnam shrutamath gaditam yatkrito gotra dharma Krishnasya chitram kshitibharaharanam kalachakrayudhasya. Voice not audible. Really? What happened? Let's see. Am I audible? Please let me know if I'm audible or not. From my side, it looks all okay. Maybe you have to unmute your phone or increase the volume. Maybe it's on 0. Increase the volume. Yeah, for everybody else, it's clear. Okay, everybody else is audible for them. All right, so Yatkrito Gotra Dharma. This is the, Gotra Dharma means the Sanātana-dharma actually. Because Gotra means, actually I wrote a very long article about this Gotra Dharma in one of the previous magazines of our Science of Godhead magazine. And even after that long article, I felt that that's not the complete explanation of Gotra. Maybe it's just 70% of it, maybe. The other 30% is not mentioned, or maybe 80-20. So anyway, Gotra Dharma, Go means two things: cow and the senses. Tra means trayate, to protect, to deliver, to save. So gotra means to protect the cow, and gotra means to protect the senses or to liberate the senses. So the cow, the earth actually took the form of the cow. So in the first canto, you will see this: the bull. The bull, the religion came in the form of bull and was asking the earth in the form of the cow how, why she was suffering. So to save the earth, gotra dharma. So how the earth will be saved? The earth was burdened by irreligious kings, and irreligious because they were against the Supreme Lord, and atheism basically. So that's what the earth went to Brahma for, to request relief. So Gotra Dharma means the dharma which protects the cow, which is the earth. The earth also sometimes takes the form of the cow, the deity of the earth. And the earth is the entire Bhumandala. And that is one meaning. The other meaning is go means senses. Gotra means to liberate the senses, because now we are caught up, our senses are all caught up by the glaring sense objects, and in that way, each and every sense can drag us down. And that's explained in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, if you see. Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano nuvidhiyate tadasya harati pragyam vayurnavamivam bhasi. As a strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. So this is the reason why our senses actually are very dangerous. In fact, in other animals, one particular sense is more, powerful than the others, which drags it to be entangled in Maya. But in human form, all five senses are equally powerful, and each of them can drag us to Maya. But they are given that power for another reason, to engage in devotional service. But when we misuse that, then we become entangled in material complexities. So to release us from those complexities and quagmire, the Bhakti Yoga is the only effective process. Therefore, it is said, Yat pada pankaja palasha vilasa bhaktya karmashayam grathitamudgrathayanti santah tadvannariktamatayo yatayo piruddha sroto ganastamaranam bhaja vasudevam. 422:39 Srimad Bhagavatam. The devotees who are always engaged in the service of the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord can very easily overcome hard-knotted desires for fruitive activities. Because this is very difficult, the non-devotees, the jnanis and yogis, although trying to stop the waves of sense gratification, cannot do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in the devotional service of Kṛṣṇa, the son of Vasudeva. So only the devotees can actually control the senses. So that Bhakti Yoga is actually the Gotra Dharma. So of course, Gotra is usually understood as lineage. That is because this Dharma which saves us from material entanglement and liberates us from these material senses so that we can actually associate with the Lord is passed down in the disciplic succession. Parampara, evam parampara praptam. So that is so it's carefully handed down. Prabhupada said, just like if there is a fruit, ripened fruit right at the top of the tree, and if there are people on branches, successively lower branches, and there are people, and if the fruit is handed down one by one, the fruit is intact. But if the fruit is just falling from the top of the tree, ripened fruit, it will just splatter. So it is carefully handed down in this parampara system, and that is the Gotra Dharma. And because of that, usually this lineage is called Gotra. What Gotra is yours? So usually it used to be, and also Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote a very nice article stating that the Acharya Santana, the family of the Acharya, is both the seminal family, the Shukra Gotra, and the other what is that? Daiksha. Daiksha? Is it called Daiksha? Which is by Diksha. Shrauta. Shrauta Gotra. Shrauta also it is said because by hearing, by Shruti, we hear from the disciple hears from the master, the spiritual master. So in that way, like, imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivasvan manave praha manurikshvakabe abravit. So this spoken, the science is spoken down. So that is called also Shrauta Santana and the Shukra Santan, which is the biseminal, by family. Both are considered the family of the Acharya. But just the Shukra is not the only Santan or the Gotra. Even the person who is in the Shrauta, who hears and becomes a disciple, he is also in the same Santana. So this is the Acharya Santan. The topic was Acharya Santan. In the Brahmana and Vaishnava book, this is mentioned in the end, this Acharya Santan thing. It's an article by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, this Santan Parampara is coming down, and that is called Gotra Dharma. And that's why it is called Gotra. What Gotra are you from? So, nowadays, though, in the Smarta Sampradaya, Sampradaya, I don't think it's a Sampradaya, just Smarta lineage, you can say, because Sampradaya has its own meaning. I think I touched upon that in the previous recent Bhagavatam class. I'll come to that. So anyway, Smartas, they consider Gotra only by Shukra. That is Asurik. Because the Shukra Santana, if they follow the principle, the real principle is Shrauta. Because even if the family is there, if they hear and if they become disciples, that's the proper lineage. So Prabhupada explains, Acharyas explain that the annihilation of the Yaduvamsha, where they fought with themselves and killed each other, one of the lessons from that, I think a list of 6 lessons are there from that Leela, Maushala Leela, I think it is called. Maushala means all the sharp grass, which is like swords almost. They cut each other and killed each other. So, Maushala Leela, there are 6 lessons from there. One of the lessons is that Kṛṣṇa wants to establish that his real followers are not his family members. And if the family members go against the sadhus, because how it all started, this Maushala Leela, it's because of offending the sages. Narad Muni was offended when he was jested. There was some joke made on Narad Muni. That Samba, he went and said, am I pregnant with a boy or a girl? He dressed like a woman and he put a pillow and dressed like, and then he went to Narad Muni and said, can you predict whether I have a boy or a girl? Then he was cursed. What is there, it will be the death of the entire dynasty. So then they were all shocked, and they ground the thing, the metal, but that grew into grass and then long grass, and then later on became the cause of death when everybody was drunk and intoxicated and then killed each other. So the Lord does not tolerate his real devotees being heckled or harassed by his so-called Shukra descendants, family lineage. So that's one of the lessons that he was establishing in that Leela, that at all costs, whether in the same family or outside of family, the real devotees are the real family of the Lord. And that's what he's ready to kill his own family if they go against the devotees. This also happened when Jay and Vijay, they were personal doorkeepers of the Lord. But when they offended the four Kumaras, and the Lord said, I do not hesitate to lop off my own arm if it is hostile to you. See how nicely the Lord says. What is the... Okay. 3:16:7, right? Hmm, 8, 3:16:8. Okay. Is it this? 3:16:9. Okay, gambling here. 3:16:6. New. Okay. यस्यामृतामलयशः श्रवणावगाः सद्यः पुनाति जगदाश्वपचाद्विकुण्ठः सोऽहं भवद्भ्य उपलब्धसुतीर्थकीर्तिः छिन्द्यां स्वबाहुमपि वः प्रतिकूलवृत्तिम्. Anyone in the entire world, even down to the Chandala, who lives by cooking and eating the flesh of the dog, is immediately purified if he takes bath in hearing through the ear the glorification of my name, fame, etc. Now you have realized me without doubt. Therefore, I will not hesitate to lop off my own arm if its conduct is found hostile to you. See? So the Lord does not, so his own family is like, his own arms, his own extension of his body, right? But no, he does not hesitate to lop off his own arm if its conduct is. So his real devotees, he will never tolerate the offense to them. Even Kauravas, for that matter, are his family members as much as the Pandavas were. But he did not worry about, he did not care for the Kauravas' existence. He arranged their exit from this world because they were against the Pandavas. So Asura, so this Asura Varnashram, which is explained in Madhya 3.6. Here, actually I can just search Asura Varnashrama. I'll go to the exact part of the purport. Oh, this is okay. So you see, the acharyas who advocate the Daiva Varnashram, the social order of Chaturvarnyam mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, do not accept the proposition of Asura Varnashram, which maintains that the social order of Varna is indicated by birth. So this is the Asura Varnashrama. So Asura Gotra, similarly, is, if we just consider it by Shukra. So the real Gotra Dharma is the Parampara system, which hands down the Shasvata Dharma Gopta, the Shasvata Dharma. So he protects the, Gopta means protector, and Shasvata Dharma or Sanātana-dharma, he is the protector of Sanātana-dharma by carefully handing it down through the Parampara system. And another name of Parampara is Sampradaya. So we have touched upon this word Sampradaya in the previous Bhagavatam class recently, but I'll repeat it again here. Because Sampradaya means Pradaya. Namo Mahavadanyaya Kṛṣṇa Prema Pradaya Te. Kṛṣṇa Prema Pradaya. That means, Pradaya means to give in charity, to give. Sampradaya means Samyak Pradayata. Samyak Pradaya. That means completely, giving completely, then Kṛṣṇa. not partly, as it is, not obscuring anything. This is also called Punya Shravana Kirtanam. Punya Shravana Kirtana means this is Sampradaya. Why? Because Punya means usually auspicious, right? But actually, Punya also means the real meaning of the word Punya. If you go to 7.8 purport, Punyagandha Prithivyam cha. See, 7.9, sorry. 7.9, you see, Punyogandha Prithivyam cha. Punya means original. Punya means original here. So, original fragrance of the earth. So, here in the purport, Prabhupada mentions Punya means that which is not decomposed. Punya is original. So, Punya Shravana Kirtana means the message which is not decomposed, the message which is as it is, the original message. That is called Samyak Pradaya, Sampradaya. Original message of the Lord being given to others. So, to give is the function of Sampradaya. So, we have to give Krishna to others. Otherwise, that's not Sampradaya. The moment the preaching stops, Sampradaya is broken. Yogo Nashtah Parantapa. Why? It is not being handed down anymore, or it is handed down in a contaminated way. Not Punya Shravana Kirtana. Not Punya Kirtan is going on, and not Punya Shravan is going on. Even if the Punya Kirtan is going on, if the Punya Shravan does not go on, original hearing, that means in the proper way. If I try to extract some other meaning out of the Bhagavad Gita, or like nowadays, even in ISKCON, for example, unfortunately, the motivational speaker devotees, they are quoting sometimes something about Bhagavad Gita and, kind of getting the people to accept some other meaning out of the Bhagavad Gita. Not recently, quite a few years ago, I made a video about Gaur Gopal explaining the Bhagavad Gita. And the problem is he is, using some verses. He did not mention the verses, but I know which verses he was relating to. But then, any devotee would know. But then he was churning. What is that? Extracting his own meaning. So that is not how we should. So that's not Punya Shravana. That's not Punya Kirtan. So Punya Shravana Kirtana means original Shravan Kirtan, original message. Hearing and chanting the original message in the original way that it should be done. Anukirtanam, Anushravanam, Anusmaranam. So, after the ways of the great authorities, following in their footsteps, the original way. Don't change, as it is. That is Punya Shravana Kirtana. And that is Sampradaya. Otherwise, Sampradaya is broken. Yogo Nashtaha, it will happen. So, in this way, Tattvavit Gopta, he protects the Dharma, Sanātana-dharma, by Gotra Dharma. That's why Sanātana-dharma and Gotra Dharma are synonymous. It's a Sampradaya. And Sampradaya is also synonymous with all these things. So, all this is connected. So, Arjuna is understanding that Kṛṣṇa, understood perfectly well that Kṛṣṇa is the Shashvata Dharma Gopta. And in the Kali Yuga, he came in the form of Shashvata Dharma Gopta, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to protect. And he inaugurated a system which is very suitable for this age, which is the Sankirtan Yajna. Krishna Varanam Dvisha Krishnam, Sango Pangastra Parshadam, Yajnaihi Sankirtana Prayair, Yajantihi Sumedhasaha. Astra Parshadam. Sa Anga, associates. Upa Anga, servitors. Astra, weapons. Parshadam, confidential companions. Yajnaihi Sankirtana Prayair. So, Astra is also mentioned here. Astra, weapons. Although he does not come with any weapons, but he actually does come with weapons. So, in the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead who constantly sings the names of Kṛṣṇa. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Kṛṣṇa himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Why the weapons are used here? Weapons word, astra, why? Well, Kevala Anandakanda. So, Parama Karuna Bahudujana Nitai Gaurachandra Sabha Avatar Sar Shiromani Kevala Anandakanda. So, Gaurnitai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with a method of religion or the Gopta or the protection which is very pleasurable. Even his weapons are pleasurable. For example, Prabhupada many times referred to the books as weapons. So he said, just like the bombs, the during wartime, the planes they drop bombs. Similarly, we should drop books in the laps of the conditioned souls so that they read. We should drop books in their hands, in their laps. So this is a weapon, very perfect weapon. Of course, the holy name itself is a weapon, but Brihat Kirtan. In fact, you know what? Recently, I just found out Brihat Kirtan. I did not know this before, but it's a very interesting discovery for me, at least. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you all know already, but okay, I'll just say it first because I don't want to waste time. You know what it was? Gaudiya Math. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he created the Gaudiya Math, he created the logo also of the Gaudiya Math. Have you ever noticed that actually Gaudiya Math had a logo? And if yes, did you see the logo? It's very interesting. So there are many things in that logo, and one section of it, how to show now? One section of it, you know what is there? The Brihat. So there, so many things in that. So Raga Marga, it is mentioned. It's around. You can go and search it yourself. On one side there is Raga Marga, and in that there are two. One is Mridanga, and beside that is the printing press, the Brihad Mridanga. So the preaching happens. So the Mridanga is itself a weapon because it shoots the arrows of the holy name, the Kirtan, into the ears of the conditioned souls. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur called the printing press as the Brihat Mridanga. And this distribution of literature is Brihat Kirtan. Brihat Kirtan because it reverberates many advantages of the printing press over the Mridanga. Of course, both must go on as much as possible, but the Brihat Kirtan has much more lasting effects because Kirtan means two things. What is actually Kirtan? What is Kirtan? What is the definition of Kirtan? 1 second. So Kirtana means, we know it's chanting, right? Chanting, yeah, congregational chanting. Well, the root word is Kirti. Kirti means fame. Kirtana means to make famous. Of course, we cannot make the Lord famous. He's already infinite fame. Yashasha Shriyaha. So Yashaha. He has unlimited fame. But when we glorify him, so we cannot make him famous, but we glorify him. And in a way make him famous in the sense, those who do not know anything, those who are in the darkness, turn them to the Lord. It's not that we are glorifying or we're making Lord famous, therefore we are doing him a favor. No. We are doing the persons who do not know about the Lord. If we let them know about the Lord, they are being favored. So it's not exactly glorifying, making him famous, but making him known to the people who forgot him. So in that way, making him famous. So glorifying him. So that is Kirtan, by chanting his name and by also conveying his philosophy, the Kṛṣṇa Katha, philosophy or the pastimes or anything, qualities of the Lord. So the books are recorded Kirtan. So if I say chant Hare Krishna, yes, that is good. But only when I am chanting, it is heard. If it is recorded, it may be heard in other mediums, in a video or audio or whatever. But these depend on electronics, and one day maybe the battery, the electronics, all this industry may collapse due to either war or natural disasters or whatever. There can be discrepancy or disturbance in this, but the books have stood the test of time. For example, the Bhagavad Gita exists in the form of the book. It existed in the form of a TV or a VR set, because Sanjaya was seeing like a movie, like a 3D movie, as if he was in the battle of Kurukshetra itself. 3D, complete 3D. And usually movie, we just see audio and visual aspects of it. Even if you put a VR goggles, you will see the audio visual aspect. What about the other three senses, the taste, the smell, the touch? That is not there. So all senses, a much more advanced virtual reality, or not even virtual reality, he's actually personally seeing the battle of Kurukshetra, and he was narrating to Dhritarashtra. So he had access, live coverage of the Bhagavad Gita and Kurukshetra battle at that time. So he had the technology. So even though that advanced version of the Bhagavad Gita and the Mahabharata was there, and the war was there, but what remained over time, over millennia, is the text format that remained. So from this we should notice how this is very potent. Of course, even text, there are discrepancies, because in some versions here and there you will find some differences in the verse numbers if you see other Puranas, because Bhagavad Gita is much more repeated, so there is no flaw, there is consistency among all versions of Bhagavad Gita, at least the Sanskrit text of it. But other literatures, there is discrepancy in the location of the verse, sometimes a little bit grammatical version of the verse, so there is some discrepancies. That is because it's in the written form. But if it's in the oral form, oral transmission, there is no loss. It's lossless transmission actually. So oral is the perfect way of transmission, because, for example, the reason why Bhagavad Gita, you will never find some location of the verse different, you will never find, because it is chanted many times by many people, so it can be verified. So, and also, of course, the chanda is there, like if there is 8 syllables in one verse, if one word is missing or one alphabet is missing, we can see there is only 7 here. So the chanda, the construction of the Sanskrit verse, is also is a protection for the verse, because it will ensure that even if there is something missing, you can see that there is something missing there, because only 7 syllables are there. It should be 8. So those are some checks and balances. But other than that, if the line is completely changed with 8 syllables and it looks like, oh, fine. But that's not happened with Bhagavad Gita, although it did happen with other texts, because it was repeated and it was in the memory of many people across generations, and therefore it is hard to tamper with. So oral transmission is actually the perfect transmission, and also the absorption is much higher if one relies only on the oral, because there's a lot of absorption of the mind that is required to take in orally, in oral reception from the ears. Whereas when there is a book, there is less effort. When there is other medium, even less effort. For example, if you see in a book, then you can just read. But if you hear, you have to memorize it if you want to repeat it. Whereas in a book, you don't need to memorize it. You can just open the book and show it. So your mind does not have to absorb as much into the subject, even when there is a book. So book is the second best after oral reception. So anyway, knowing the mandabuddhi of Kali Yuga, of the people of Kali Yuga, Vyasadeva wrote down Chakre Satvata Samhitam. Okay, Stri Shudra Dvijabandhunam Trayena Shruti Gochara Karma Shreyasi Mudhanam Shreya Evam Bhavediha iti bharatamakyanam kripaya munina kritam. 1.4.25. Out of compassion, the great sage thought it wise that this would enable men to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Thus, he compiled the great historical narration called the Mahabharata for women, laborers, and friends of the twice born. So he wrote down, we are all basically Stri, Shudra, and Vijabandhu. So for us, this is very ideal. And this will, why did they choose this? Because Vyasadeva himself had the power of the television, which he gave to Sanjaya because of Vyasa mercy. That's explained in the Vyasa Prasadad, right? Oh. Vyasa. What is that? Vyasa Prasada. No? In the 18th chapter. Oh, come on. By the mercy of Vyasa. What was the word there? Vyasa Prasadat. Oh. Okay, let's type it actually. Vyasa Prasadat. Why was it not coming? It is coming. Okay, Vyasa Prasadat. 1875. You see, Vyasa Prasadat Shrutavan Etad Guhyam Aham Param Yogam Yogeshwarat Kṛṣṇat Sakshat Kathayatah Swayam. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Kṛṣṇa, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. So Vyasa had access to that power and he granted it to even his disciple Sanjaya. But he thought it wise to actually record it in text format because that will stand the test of time, and also it will be available to people as blind as Dhritarashtra, because we are all blind. And we are not as pure of a disciple maybe as Sanjaya, at least I am not. So how can it be? So this is what the anxiety of the pure devotees is, that how can it reach to the masses? How can it reach to the most downtrodden people? Text format. So that is the basis. So in that way, this was written down, and so when it is written down, these books, they first of all, when we play mridanga, the kirtan is only at that time, and also the limit, the distance also, we cannot hear very far away, right? We can't. But the book can go miles and miles and enter into places where kirtan would otherwise be not allowed. Also, it can reverberate far, far, far distant into the future, even after maybe hundreds of years, if thousands of years, it can still reverberate. That is impossible by direct kirtan, right? So it is Brihat Kirtan. It expands the boundaries of kirtan through space and time. It can reach far off distances, and it can in much future time also. So it expands the space and time limitations of kirtan. So that's why it's Brihat Kirtan. And in the Gaudiya Math logo, the printing press and the mridanga are side by side on one side, like a full circle. I think divided into 6 or 8 divisions. So one side is this Ragamarga written there, and then so it's a very Ragamarga is very high standard of devotion, right? So this Kirtan and Brihat Kirtan book distribution is actually very high standard practice of devotional service, and they are weapons, astra. This chanting is an astra, but books are even greater astra. So Sangopangastra Parshadam, and very interesting that 1486 AD Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, but 1440 AD the printing press was invented, 46 years prior to his birth, to his appearance. So he, in other part of the world, in totally different part of the world, and they both converged 400 years later to create this huge surge in the preaching, seemingly unrelated. But even Charles Gutenberg, Johannes Gutenberg, yeah, inventor of the printing press, he actually did the printing press. With that, he made, I think, 150 copies of the Bible. So it was actually to print the Bible. But anyway, the point is, two seemingly unrelated events, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here and the printing press here, and then 400 years later they converge to create a massive explosion of Sankirtan Yajna, and which has immortalized the presence of all the acharyas in the form of their books, which would otherwise have taken extraordinary efforts to copy by hand. Now it can be done very easily. So it is that kind of technology we should adopt. Anything that furthers this mission. So all this, even if in social media, whatever, but of course, nothing can displace the books in the importance, because books are the basis at all times. Even if there is social media and everything, we will take advantage of social media while it is there, but it won't last as long as the books. Books will always be, and also there is no gatekeeping in books. There are gatekeeping, of course, in books. You need the printing press, you need the organization for the whole printing job and everything. But once you have the book in your hand, you have the book in your hand. Nothing else can stop you. Whereas if it's on my phone, for example, if the battery dies, I can't have access to the books on the phone. Or if I don't have a device, or if something happens, a natural disaster or electricity or whatever, shut down, I don't have access to electricity, and everything else will. Of course, books can also go away. That's another thing. But when you have the book with you, to open it and read it, there is no gatekeeping. That's what I'm saying. A phone, there are so many, and there's so many distractions that come with it as well. So physical books is, it's something that can't be beaten. Something that can't be beaten. And these distribution of these books, this is actually astra. And because we are giving, even though we are not qualified, if we are giving the Prabhupada's books, it is the complete Punya Shravana Kirtana going on, Punya Kirtan at least. And then eventually when they hear, they will become pious. Punya and then Shravana, it will eventually come. We are giving the perfect, that is Sampradaya. Sampradaya means complete knowledge of Krishna. So we're giving. So that giving, Pradaya, Krishna Prema Pradaya. So the Lord Chaitanya, he gave Krishna, love of Krishna, the commodity of love of Krishna. So that complete understanding of Krishna and love of him, the devotional service, that is when it is handed down, when it is given to the conditioned souls, the channel through which it is given is called Sampradaya, and that is called Tāttva-dharma Gopta. So there is so much depth to it. So I think we will stop it here and see. So yes, Kirtaner Anga. Yes, this is there. Kirtaner Anga Sudhu Nahe Dhak Dhol Dhunik Dharay Adhunik Dharay Nahe Kirtaner Rol. Yes, we should accept whatever modern instruments or social media, whatever. Yes, we should. But it all should be to further the books. The books are always at the center of everything. Nothing beats that. Everything else is to promote the books. Because there is the real. Because once they read the books, all these other things will be there. All the other understandings, proper understanding of everything will be there. Okay, so I think I will stop it there. Where did we stop? 11:18, right? Dharma Gopta. Yes. Sanatanastam Purusho Mato Me. So Sanātana-dharma is eternal and it is devoid of sectarian understanding. So it is beyond all sectarian limitations and beyond this limitation of space and time. It is the eternal relationship of the eternal soul with the eternal Lord, and that is the Shashvata Dharma. Okay, so I think I'll stop here. We will continue from the next one in the next session. So if there are any questions and comments, I'll take. Ten, 9, 13 is mentioned. न चान्तर्न बहिर्यस्य न पूर्वं नापि चापरं पूर्वापरं बहिश्चान्तर्जगतो यो जगच्चयः. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning and no end, no exterior and no interior, no front and no rear. In other words, He's all pervading. But He's not under the influence of the element of time. For Him, there is no difference between past, present, and future. He exists in His own transcendental form at all times. Being absolute beyond relativity, He is free from distinctions between cause and effect, although He is the cause and effect of everything. So this is the position of Kṛṣṇa. That's nice. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out this verse sums up the 10th canto by mentioning 5 special glories of Sri Kṛṣṇa that even his expansions, plenary portions and incarnations do not display. 5 glories and then 5 specialities or pastimes or something. The 1090-48. So okay, I will stop it here. Thank you very much. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.